a really fun surprise for you because I have been secretly working on creating my own kit with The Sims. We've been at this for almost a year and the Comfy Gamer kit officially launched yesterday. In this video, I want to go over a little bit of the behind the scenes process. We'll talk about some of the original ideas, concept art, and how everything came together. I did post a video yesterday where I reviewed the kit, but it was really more of a first impressions. This is maybe the coolest thing that has ever happened to me. Obviously, I am a massive fan of The Sims and I have been forever. I can't even explain to you how much it means to me to be offered an opportunity like this. It's just so special to be a part of this game that has genuinely changed my life. I don't want to cry. I've already cried today about this. I do not want to cry in a YouTube video. But also, as a super fan, it has been fascinating to kind of get to peek behind the curtain a little bit and see more about the process of how the kits are made. Over the last year, I've watched all of these ideas that I've had come to life, and it's so cool to see these things go from just a vision in my head to then becoming a fully functional item in the game. To explain all of this, we should probably start way back in the beginning of last year when we first began this process. I got asked to get on a Zoom call with them, and I sort of thought that it was going to be about a sponsorship opportunity or something like that. I guess I didn't really think it through. I just didn't think it was going to be a big deal phone call. And I certainly did not think they were going to offer me an opportunity like this. It was just a random Tuesday. I wasn't prepared for this call, okay? So I get on the call, and then all of a sudden they start explaining how the collaborative kits work. And then they asked me if I would be interested in doing one. Yeah, actually, yes, I would love to do that. Thank you so much. I remember getting off that call and just sitting at my desk, jaw dropped, staring at my computer in disbelief. I couldn't believe it was actually happening to me. People have been asking me for years if I would ever make a kit with The Sims, and the answer is always yes. If they asked me, I would do it. I just figured they wouldn't ask me because I already had opportunities to build for a couple of packs, and so I thought I've already done stuff with them. They wouldn't pick me for this. I was so excited. This was the highlight of my life, okay? And after I agreed, which obviously I was gonna agree, my next task was to create mood boards for some of my kit ideas. They told me the pack was aiming to release sometime around the 25th birthday, and they also suggested that it might be kind of fun to make a clutter kit because they knew how much I loved clutter. And I was like, okay, I can do that. I'm totally down for that plan. So with that plan in mind, I came up with a few different kit themes, and then I created mood boards full of pictures and inspo stuff to help visualize them. I spent hours on this. This is the most fun homework assignment you could ever be given. I do this kind of thing for fun sometimes. I've made YouTube videos of me going through PowerPoints of my kit ideas, and now they literally asked me to do this again and then pitch them in a Zoom call to the actual Sims team, which, by the way, scariest Zoom call in my life. I don't really know how to pitch a video game, and I certainly don't know how to pitch a video game to people who make video games. I felt like an imposter on that Zoom call. How did I end up here in this situation? I'm literally just a girl. I just play Sims. I am a fish out of water in this. But they said that I did a really good job, and I did put a lot of time and effort into it, so I am relieved that they liked it. I ended up showing them 5 different ideas total, some a little bit more fleshed out than others, because obviously I had favorites. We're not gonna get into those today, because I feel like it's better to focus on what we did get instead. Although I will say I actually pitched an art studio clutter kit. That was kind of a wild card one, because it doesn't really feel like a lilsimsie kit, but I was just trying to think of unique clutter kits that kind of expanded on things that I already like and use a lot in the game. So I thought some better art studio stuff would be a nice addition to the game, which is really funny looking back on now because obviously they were working on the artist studio kit and I just didn't know. But ultimately the idea that we liked the most was a gamer room kit concept. In my pitch, I literally started with a series of emojis trying to explain the kind of gamer that I meant. I wanted this to be for the Simmers. So I wanted to try and make something that looked more like our gaming spaces. I feel like when people think of gamer rooms, you're picturing the all black, the red LEDs, almost like a man cave vibe. At least that's the stereotype that comes to mind. And when you Google it, that's what you're gonna get. I was picturing something a little bit brighter, more colorful, almost more cutesy. So in this original mood board, I had 100 photos of different things that I felt matched the vibe. I had lots of plants, there was a lot of books, I had ideas for art prints, there was stacks of physical games. I really wanted stuff like this, headphones and controllers and gamer clutter. The computer was also really important to me because I really wanted to include a desk mat. We don't have anything like that in The Sims right now, and it's honestly kind of weird that we don't have mouse pads. None of the computers have a mouse pad. So I showed them pictures of what mine looked like and some of the ones that I found online. I even showed them pictures of my entire office because I wanted to give examples of what my desk and my bookshelves look like. I didn't set out trying to recreate my office. I just knew that a lot of people had similar furniture to me. Like everybody has cube bookshelves. We've all had cube bookshelves at some point. So we ended up really rolling with that and kind of taking inspiration from some of the things that I have in real life. So the desk, the shelves, the rug, the keyboard, and even the LED sign are all based on things that I have in real life. So after we had that mood board meeting and I pitched all 5 of the ideas and we picked out the gamer kit, my next task was to make a full pitch deck. And this is a lot more in-depth than just a mood board. It included things like a theme overview, color palettes, swatch ideas, why I felt like it would be a nice addition to the game, ways I thought players would use it, and that was an even scarier meeting. I felt like I poured my heart and soul into this kit pitch, and it was not a short presentation. The document was long, and I spent a really long time going through everything. So picture the scariest school presentation you've ever done, but it's for a class that you've never been to. It's your first day, and you have to do a speech. That's how I felt, because I felt so out of my element pitching to all of these professionals. And to me, the Sims team is like celebrities. I'm in awe of them, and somehow I'm the one presenting. I'm gonna give you a shortened version of this pitch now, just to give you more of an insight into my ideas. I have to exclude all of the photos, but I can tell you what I wrote. Oh my God, I feel kind of shy even showing you this. But they asked me to have a theme overview. So I had 3 main themes to this kit: realistic desk spaces, breaking down stereotypes, and a new gamer aesthetic. And the first idea is that I wanted to give players ways to make more realistic desk spaces. I'm thinking about how a lot of us have a designated work from home space. Maybe you're in school. Obviously, we all play The Sims. And these desk spaces are like cluttered, they're lived in, they're our most used parts of our house, at least for me they are. And we can't really achieve that in The Sims 4 right now. There isn't really a lot of desk clutter at all. I kind of described this pack as a love letter to Simmers and their gaming setups. There is kind of a classic gamer stereotype that a lot of us Sims players don't really fit into. And in fact, in a lot of gaming spaces, those other gamers will act like The Sims isn't even a real game, which is kind of cringe of them. So I wanted to have some stuff that kind of fit that like cozy gamer vibe. It's certainly not all cutesy and light colors, but that's kind of the main vibe. I wanted to have lots of light, bright colors, light wood tones, gold accents, that kind of vibe. I actually gave them a color palette of kind of what I was picturing. My idea was to focus on light wood tones, lots of white and cream colors, and then kind of like dusty pastel shades. So I wanted a sage green, a light yellow, kind of a dusty pink. I also really wanted a periwinkle color and some gold accents. You'll see when we get to the swatches that there is blue. We added blue to the color palette, but let it be known that that was their idea. It was a good idea, but this just further proves my point that I am not to blame for the blue Suburban. They love blue. Everything comes in blue, and I'm not mad about it because it's cute. But I really like the color palette from this pack. It's very much my personal vibe. But aside from just colors, we had to talk a lot about swatch ideas and almost like theming for the swatches. And this is where I was talking a lot about Sims references. So knowing that it was coming out around the 25th birthday and knowing that I wanted it to be kind of like a love letter to Simmers, I really wanted to include some references to old Sims games in here. Specifically, I wanted My Sims Kingdom and Sims Medieval the most. Those were like my 2 big ones that I wanted to have references from. And I was throwing out all kinds of ideas. I was like, we could put stickers on a water bottle. There could be plants with like little My Sims characters on them. And ultimately we managed to include quite a few of these references. I was begging for this back in February of last year. And this whole time they were working on a re-release of My Sims, the Cozy Bundle for Switch, and I didn't even know. I had no idea. So I'm just making a fool of myself begging them for My Sims, and they were making My Sims. But it's not just My Sims. There's like Void Critters and the Grim Reaper and the Freezer Bunny and Bella Goth and like all kinds of other classic characters. This is unrelated to The Sims, but I also talked a lot about wanting to have cats in the pack. That's more of a personal preference. Obviously, I am a cat person, but also I think cats just kind of fit the vibe. So I was thinking about things like photo prints, maybe a little picture frame that had some cat art on it. And one of the other things that they asked me to include in the pitch were ways that I could picture the community using the pack. I presented 3 reasons to them, so I'll show you those now. I'm still on that realistic desk spaces thing, but basically in the pitch I was talking about how a lot of Sims players like to use The Sims as a daydreaming tool. A lot of people will try to build their dream home in The Sims, so having this stuff kind of helps people to make that dream desk space. But also a lot of us like to use The Sims to build our actual homes. We'll recreate our real bedrooms, our real houses. Maybe you're moving into a new apartment and you're trying to build it real quick so you can visualize how you're gonna put your furniture in. The concept was that this pack would help people do that. I also really wanted the pack to be multifunctional because obviously it's made for like an office gaming space, but I was trying to think about other ways that it could be usable. So I was picturing adding the game controller to your living room coffee table in front of your game console. Maybe using the neon signs and some of the desk clutter to decorate community lots. And also this stuff will be really good for like kids' bedrooms, teen bedrooms, maybe like a university dorm, you don't have to only use it for a gamer, and that's sort of the goal. I also hoped that it would pair pretty well with existing content. A vast majority of the skills and careers in The Sims 4 rely on the computer for skill building or daily tasks. So with this pack, you can better build out that home office. I'm thinking about like the freelance careers from the base game. If you're in the freelance programming career, you've got some more stuff now to better set up a little desk area for your sim. There's already streamer gameplay in High School Years and Get Famous, and this stuff works great for that as well. There actually isn't any desk clutter and Get Famous despite it having a whole streaming system, and High School Years only has one gaming clutter item. So it felt like we were kind of lacking in this desk and gaming department despite how easily it would tie into other things. And then most importantly, the pitch included a very long list of every item I thought we should try to add to the kit. They basically told me to just dream big. Like, think about anything you can come up with, and then we would try and narrow it down and make it more realistic. I was pitching this and intending it to be a clutter pack, but I was allowed to include a few furniture items. So most of what I pitched was decorative, but there are a few larger things like the desk, the bookshelves, there's a desk chair, and of course the rug. And I won't read you the whole list because we're gonna look at the items in a second. But after I went through this whole pitch process, it was now their turn to get to work. This is when they took all of my ideas and started making concept art out of them. I'm allowed to share quite a few images from this concept phase with you, and this is my favorite part. At this point, I had been daydreaming for months about what I thought the pack would look like. I was trying to explain these images that I had in my head, and then the artist took my little descriptions and made them into real things. We also don't get to see concept art from The Sims all that often, so I am really excited to share this with you. Just keep in mind that these are early versions, so some of these items we ended up changing completely, some we ended up swapping out for something else. So we're gonna start here with some of the earliest concept art. We've just hopped into a Zoom call with the whole team, and they're gonna walk us through all the things that they've made so far. We talked a lot about gaming clutter. That was kind of like the main thing here. So the controller and the headphones were two of the most important items to me. And actually, I think the controller and the headphones are what changed the most from this phase. When I was originally pitching this, I wasn't sure if the controller should be on a stand or if it should just be loose, because I've got my controllers attached to my desk on little hooks. But I think functionally in the game, it's nicer to have it loose because then you can put it anywhere. But we did go through a couple different iterations of what that might look like if we did it either way. The headphones also went through a few different iterations. These ones are really plain. They also have a cord in this version. Ultimately, the finished products ended up looking like this. So you can see we have no cord on the headphones, and actually the controller and the headphones both light up. I'm gonna let the game run so we can kind of zoom in and see it a little bit more. And they come in a whole bunch of different swatches, and you can see that color palette that we talked about starting to come to life. That's like the exact color palette that I had pitched to them. It also has the cream and the white and like the different black swatches. If you get a close-up view on the headphones, there's like a little freezer bunny lit up on the side. So these must be really fancy headphones. Like, these are probably pretty expensive in real life considering how nice they are. But I like how they look like they could be gaming headphones, but also a lot of people just have over-ear headphones to listen to music. So it's multi-purpose in that way. This pegboard was a big thing for me. I really liked the idea of something sort of modular to store all of the clutter that we were making. This has changed a lot between now and what we actually got in the game. We actually did talk about making a video game console, but I'm kind of glad that we didn't because we just got one for the base game in the rewards event that happened last month. So instead, we have a couple of other different functional items that I will show you. But you can see we have this keyboard clutter because a lot of people have decorative keyboards or like collections of keycaps and stuff. So I wanted to have one of those that we could like mount up and use for decor. I also really liked the idea of an animal plant. That's one of the things that I pitched to them, was like a little planter that was shaped like an animal. And I wanted it to have kind of wispy leaves. So this is sort of an early version of what ultimately became this plant. It's not an animal, but it's got a bunch of those different Sims icons on it instead, which honestly I think is better. That's more the vibes anyway. And it has a plain white and a plain black swatch, so you can kind of use it anywhere. It still has feet in the plain white and plain black swatch, but I don't think that you can tell that they're supposed to be feet as much, right? I insisted that everything come in plain white and plain black because it's just more useful that way. So that's a theme throughout this. I want to show you the pegboard real quick too, because this I think was quite the feat for them because it had to be tileable. So these need to fit together and also look seamless. And then we wanted to have these shelves be custom placed. I wanted you to be able to put the shelves wherever you wanted to on this board, and you can actually alt place them. So they do slot around, but you can put them anywhere, and they don't have to be on the board. You can put them anywhere else too. The same goes for the LED sign. You can put this anywhere, or you could slot it onto the board, and it actually slots into the peg holes on the board if you look really closely, which is kind of a fun detail. It's sort of made to fit there if you want it to, and you can change the color of this if you're interested. You can also change the color of it in game because it's a light, so I can make it a little bit dimmer if I wanted to. I can make it purple if I wanted to, you know? And this keyboard actually was originally hooked onto the shelves and like attached to it, like in the photo, so it only hung on the wall. You wouldn't be able to put it on a table. We ended up changing it to look like this because this way I can put it on the desk if I wanted to. I can kind of put it anywhere. This is not functional, it's decorative. It's supposed to be decorative, but it comes in a bunch of different fun swatches with different fun keycaps. I really like this one. I just think that's so cool. We also ended up getting pencil cups too, but in a different way. So we'll get to those in a minute. This picture was so important to me. I really wanted to have a photo that was clutter because we do have some things like that, like these little items from the base game, but they're really small and it's only those three, plus maybe that team sports photo. So I really wanted to have another one. This one's a little bit bigger and it comes in a bunch of different swatches. We can see that llama made it all the way to the full game. They each have a couple different frame colors, and there's a lot of cats in these photos as well. If we go through them all, you'll see a lot of cats happening. But I quite liked that you could kind of mix and match those and it doesn't look like the same frame twice because there's a lot of different variation going on with it. These stacks of Sims games were maybe the most important item to me out of the entire kit. I really wanted to have more physical media in The Sims 4. I know that everybody buys these games digitally. Like, you can't even buy this kit as a physical copy. But if you're anything like me, you maybe also have a collection of physical Sims games from back in the day. And I just really wanted to bring it back. So this is a stack of old Sims games, and they actually made a bunch of Sims covers in Simlish. So if you look closely at all these swatches, you might see some kind of fun Easter eggs to some of your favorite games, like Sims Medieval, perhaps. But there's quite a few spanning a bunch of different eras and like genres here, even some spin-offs. I was so happy about this, especially because your Sims can play Sims. They can play Sims Forever on their PC and it's just them playing an old Sims game. So it feels realistic too. And after they made this stack of games, they were like, hey, we have the art for this. We made all of the art, so we might as well make it into a poster. So this poster is the same as all those covers. It's just bigger and obviously hanging up on the wall, so you can kind of get a better view of them here. But this way, if your Sims want to have posters of old Sims games, you can put your favorite one up on their wall. I keep going to Sims Medieval, I'm sorry. This one is the Sims 3 Seasons. There's just some kind of random ones, and it's kind of a mix of things suggested by me, but also suggested by the Sims team. So they've got some of their favorites in there too. But this one was kind of a bonus item. We didn't originally plan to make this, and I'm really glad that we did. The desk chair is kind of an interesting one because I wanted to have like an elevated desk chair. We've got a handful of them in the game already, but I wanted to have something that was like comfortable but kind of fancy with some wooden accents. This is a pretty early variant of it. It actually ended up changing a lot from this to what we finally got in the game, and we don't have the freezer bunny on it anymore, which I think is a good thing because it's a bit more versatile without it. This is how the desk chair ended up looking in the end. You can see we've got those wood accents that I wanted, but it also comes in some really pretty pastel swatches. I want this pink one and this periwinkle one in real life. I love this. That's so pretty to me. It also has some neutrals like this more gray color. It's got a plain white and also a plain black, but I think it really shines with the colors because we've got a lot of plain black ones, but these things we don't really have anything like. And the computer is also, I think, one of the best items out of the whole kit. You can see here a really early version of it. It actually has changed a lot since this concept, but the main things that I wanted were it to be dual monitor. I also really wanted to have a mouse pad or like a desk mat. Like I was saying before, we don't have anything like that, so I thought it would be a nice addition. We thought about making a microphone as a separate item, but we ended up including it as part of the computer. And I also love that it's on a little bit of a shelf because it has clutter like pre-incorporated into the computer. This is almost a spoiler, but this is the desk. And this is that computer in the end, how it turned out. So we can see all of those elements, the desk mat, the keyboard, the mouse, the microphones attached. If you look around the back, the monitors are attached on some monitor arms. I need to get some of these in real life. Mine are just resting on my desk, and if I did this, I would have so much more space. This would be way nicer. I'll walk you through all of these different swatches because I love this. You can see it has some nice neutrals, but we also have some really pretty variants. The keyboard changes on all of them. The colors of the books inside of the shelf change on each of them too. It also has speakers on top of those shelves, and that's one of those things that we also talked about including separate, but I think makes more sense attached because you can get it a little bit closer, right? Without move objects, you can't really place things that close to the computer. You can do it with cheats, but you want it to work without cheats too, so it being there just by default is better. We also talked a lot about what would happen when your sim actually uses the computer. Oh, I was like, why can't she use it? Because she's stuck outside. I didn't bring her in, there's no door. Whoops, sorry Kayla. Okay, here you go. So it's still the same as all of the other computers in the game, which means that it only needs one screen for it to be functional, but we have two screens. So when you turn it on, this screen is technically static, so this one won't change. It just looks like that, but it's kind of like you've got your messaging apps open and stuff, which I do literally right now on this monitor, so it makes sense. The team actually made some extra concept art for things that I didn't even think of myself, just to kind of throw the idea out there. So we have things like this phone mount, there's a tissue box. Maybe the best one is this grilled cheese bookend set. That was not my idea. I pitched a bunch of book stuff. I wanted an open book, I wanted stacks of books, I wanted books everywhere, which we did end up getting. And then they also came back with this, and I was like, wait a minute, that is hilarious. It's very Sims, it's very weird, I think in a fun way. And we ended up making it in the game for real. So this is what that little book stack looks like. It's got a bunch of pretty swatches on it. It also comes in plain black and like a plain white color. It's just very silly. It's very silly. I also really wanted plants. Like that was a big thing for me with the kit. We ended up getting the one with the face. This is a concept art for just a plain one that didn't end up coming. But if you look closely at it, you can see that the plant that we actually did get is almost like a combo of this base and then the top of this plant. This is the final product up close. So it's kind of cool how this stuff changes over time as we work through it. We also talked about maybe having like some sort of cup or a bottle or something on the desk. And it's almost like a combination of all three of these is what we actually ended up getting. This one is super cute because it's got like a little coaster underneath. These ones are like boba bottles. This one is just funky with the flamingo coaster, but this is what we ended up actually making. So it's a bottle with a coaster and it's got stickers on it. So if you look closely at the stickers, you'll see some kind of fun ones like the Grim Reaper on there. We've got some little My Sims references. There's freezer bunnies. This one has a cow plant. This is my favorite. And there's also a plain one too. We've got plain white and plain black. I love that it's on a coaster though. I just think that's a nice touch. It makes it look a little bit more intentional as decor as well. And I didn't come up with that. That was their idea and I really like it. That's part of why it's so nice to have this collaborative because they know they are artists. Like they know what looks good. These items, the idea here was almost like a little light that was also kind of a cutesy decor item for the table. I'm gonna talk more about what that became in a second because I want to talk about this plant. This is a wispy hanging plant and it's got a cow plant sticking out of it. This is also so weird and so random. And I mean that in the absolute best way possible, but it's also a wall hanging plant. So you can kind of change the height that it's at. You aren't stuck with it being on the ceiling. It comes in all of our same cutesy swatches, but it's just got this little cow plant head. I want this. I wish they would sell this so I could have it in real life. And down here, this is a pretty early iteration of what eventually became our desk organizer. I thought this would be a really nice item because it's a way to incorporate a lot of clutter, but it's all attached as one thing. In the concept, they've got some books, there's like a pencil holder and some sticky notes. Ours ended up looking like this. You can see it's very similar. It's still acrylic, it's still got those books, but we instead have a little sticky note calendar in the front and the calendar changes to different Sims characters for different swatches. This one makes me so happy. I also would like to have this in real life. This is one of my favorite things from the pack. I also hate this guy. This is Tobor. I didn't tell them that I hate him. I just said that I wanted my Sims characters, but he's everywhere in the kit and I love it because it's kind of fun to have like, I don't know, when you have strong feelings about something, even if it's a dislike. If I had to pick just like 3 My Sims characters, he would be one of them and they read my mind with that, but he's on a bunch of different things. And again, there's plain ones too, just with numbers. On this next slide, we can see some more earlier concept art of that same item. This one's made out of wood instead, but I think that our acrylic version makes a little bit more sense because it matches this pencil cup that we ultimately ended up selecting. And you can see the calendar as part of this concept. So it really does become like a combination of the two. We have got a whole bunch of different pencil cup variations. My original idea is that I wanted to have like just pencils, scissors, stuff like that, but also something kind of cutesy sticking up out of it. And my original idea for what could be sticking up was like maybe a little pride flag, just something cute inside of the pencil cup. We ended up kind of combining that idea. So we have the freezer bunny there, but there's also a sticker of the pride flag, and there's just stickers in general on this, but not on every swatch. There are some that are plain. So we've got like a plain glass version. It comes in like a plain clear color. There's a black version, and in the black version, it's a freezer bunny instead of freezer bunny, which is kind of funny. I love this. I think it's a nice size too, because it's bigger. The base game ones are much littler, and it also sizes down pretty well if you needed to fit it somewhere else. And if you look at these items, these pencil cups that kind of have like a character in them inside of the face, we took that and we kind of ran with it and turned it into something else that I also didn't even really originally think of. So this ultimately became an alarm clock. This is the alarm clock. It's a little rocket ship with a character inside. The original concept art just had Bella Goth in the middle of it, but we've got a few different other ones. There's like a gnome. We've got a little guy from High School Years. There's the Grim Reaper, a couple of My Sims characters, and this is a functional alarm clock. So you can set an alarm for the room and it'll go off when the clock strikes that time. I didn't originally think that would ever be possible, so I never pitched that as an idea, but they're making an alarm clock that's coming into the base game soon, so we get it first. We get to have one before everybody else. But it's cute, it kind of looks like a lamp. It works for a lot of different Sims. It could be a kid's room. You could put it for your astronaut Sim. Like, it feels versatile in that way. But I just think it's so interesting to see how those ideas change, you know? This next slide actually has a whole bunch of stuff that we ended up not using. We can see a couple other early variations of these little desk organizers. In this version, the calendar is a separate item. I kind of like it better combined, I think. This is also kind of an early concept of what our plant ended up becoming, because you can see the shape of it more, but we just changed how the top of it looks. We've also got some keys. There's a different variant here of that cup idea. We talked a little bit about like headphone stands and controller stands and how I decided we didn't want to do them, but this was an idea for headphone stands originally and like a combo of the two. There are two things in this picture that did end up making it to the game, and the first one is this little Polaroid printer, or even like a sticker printer kind of. So it's just a little clutter item, and it's got a whole bunch of different stickers of My Sims characters. This is the final version in game. You can see it's got all of our color palette in there, but all the different sticker swatches are so fun. There's like a woohoo version. Some have more Sims 4 stuff, some have more My Sims stuff. And to go along with this, we made a matching camera. The camera was actually the first idea, but I don't have concept art for it. And this is a fully functional camera. So your Sims can use this to take photos. If I put this in my inventory, I can choose to take a photo real quick. And I begged them to make this a high quality camera, because there's 3 camera qualities. The cheapest one can only take small photos. The most expensive can take large photos. I was like, please, I need large photos. So it's the highest quality camera, but it's not quite as expensive as the other highest quality cameras. The priciest one is $2,015. Ours is $1,350. So you can kind of get a discount. It's like an in-between. And the colors are so cute. It's got a bunch of our little pastels. I'm really glad that we were able to sneak in a few different functional items into the pack. And these candles actually made it into the pack as well. The idea was kind of like those food candles that you see in real life, where it's like the wax is formed in the shape of a food item or something. Like those really nice ones that you're too scared to burn because you don't want to ruin it. Well, we made some of those too. And it's got a bunch of different food swatches. There's like a cookie, we've got a donut, there's cereal, this one's an egg, this one kind of looks like a latte, and there's also just a plain version. There's plain white and there's also plain black, so you don't have to use the funky swatches if you don't want to. I like how it's on a little bit of a coaster. It's like kind of on a stand, makes it feel a bit more substantial. And then here in this last slide, we can see the most updated concept art. Like, this is the final stuff that they ended up making for the game. It's kind of fun to compare this to those earlier variants, because obviously this looks exactly like what we got. We can see our little desk organizer, we've got the grilled cheese. We can even see the art that we ended up getting on this little item. We haven't yet talked about the furniture pieces, so I'm gonna show you those now. So of course we have the desk and a matching cube shelf set. So you can slot all of the new decor into the cube shelf, and it comes in quite a few different swatches. We've got that wood pattern that kind of matches what my desk looks like. So it comes in a couple different wood variants, and there's also some accent color ones with our color palette, like yellow and blue. We've got the purple, pink, green, and we have a solid white, a solid black, and then just like a slightly more grayish beige color. The desk matches exactly. We've got all of the same colors here too. I like how inside of the drawer handles, it matches the top of the desk. I think that's kind of a fun little touch. And same with the legs on the ground. It's just got kind of a cute base. We also have a rug in this kit, and this was so important to me because I really wanted to have a rug that was neutral neutral. I wanted it to be patterned, but like subtle. And I wanted it to work for a lot of different spaces. So just these plain like creamy colors, we've got white, and even the ones that do have color are subtle enough that you can kind of use it anywhere. This one is very mint, not so berry. It comes in some beige colors. I am obsessed with this rug and it's cheap. It's only 60 simoleons. I also showed them a lot of pictures of different poofs in my reference photos. So we got some of these too. I was showing like a bunch of pillows that were just on the ground. I felt like it kind of fit that cozy vibe. So we stacked 2 of them. They come in a lot of nice colors like this. Plus there's some funky ones like some fruits. We've got some cookies. I haven't yet shown you all of the book items either. So we talked about those grilled cheese bookends. The other main thing that I pitched and was begging for was this open book, which I realize is like an insult to all readers. I get it. I personally would never leave my book like this. However, I loved the idea of it. It's nice for making a messier room. It's cute. We can have some fun different covers on it and you can see the full thing. And then we also have this stack of books and it's got a fun swatch, but also some more simple ones that kind of match the color scheme, plus plain black and plain white. And those books kind of look like the books that we have in the bookend and it fits really nicely in the cubes. We also have this little lamp, which is kind of a fun surprise item. This is inspired by Bella Goth, but we ended up doing it with a bunch of different sim characters. So it's like an alien abduction lamp, but in the thing is just a bunch of different Sims icons. So we've got Bella, we've got our enemy Tobor, we've got aliens and cats and dogs. There's also just a plain star one and a cute rainbow version. Again, super cute for kids' rooms, I feel like. And then last, but certainly not least, we have this PC tower. And this is something that I really cared about. I really wanted to have almost like a modular computer set. I always thought it was kind of weird how we have all these computers, but none of them actually have a computer. It's just monitors for the most part. Some of them have a computer on the back, but it's like ugly and old. But we didn't want to attach it because this way it gives you a little bit more freedom, because some people keep theirs on the floor. Maybe you want it on opposite sides. Maybe you want it on a small table next to the desk. Like there's lots of different places that you could put this thing. And you could also hopefully then use it with the other computers if you wanted to, because it comes in some kind of versatile swatches. It's got all of our cutesy pastels and it lights up. So if you look at it in game and you unpause, you can watch this rainbow moving. If you look really closely at it, it like slowly rotates around. This is so cool. And it's actually kind of functional. It's meant to be just decorative, but if you click on it, you can direct your Sims to play Sims. That's all it can do is play Sims, but it makes her open up the Sims game. So she's playing Sims now because of that. Of course, the computer can do everything. Like you can write, you can do anything, but this part just play Sims. But that's everything in the entire kit. Hi, it's nighttime now, but I am back so we can finish recording this. I had to take a break in between to go and stream about the kit. But if we kind of go back on the timeline of the kit process, we've gotten ahead of ourselves a little bit, because obviously the team makes all of that concept art. We then went through and kind of decided what we wanted to do and what we liked best. And after that, they went and made everything and like actually made it to go into the game. And once everything was complete, we had a Zoom call where they shared their screen to show me everything in the game. That was such a fun day, because after all of this long process of like visualizing things and slowly making it and coming up with ideas, we finally had something to show for it. It's so cool to see something that you just conjured up in your brain physically in the game. Here were all these items that I was just like, hey guys, what if we made this thing? And then they went and they made the thing and then they put it in the Sims. But honestly, that call was kind of the last that I had seen of the items up until today when the kit came out. Like I mentioned earlier, I didn't get early access to it or anything. It's just not really feasible for them to give early access, especially not just to one person. Like that's kind of ridiculous. So I didn't get to play with it until today. I just finished making my first ever build with the kit, which was kind of fun for me to use. I'll even show you that. I just built this today on stream. We've got this really cool office space where I've used all of the new stuff plus a bunch of things from other packs. I also tried to use the kit in a few other ways. Like I put the pegboard in the kitchen and then I put this Home Chef Hustle thing on top of it, like a dish rack hung up in it. We also have a garage in this house and I put the pegboard here and I hung up like some gym equipment, some extra paintbrushes, like some gardening tools. I even tried to make it seem like the hose was hung up on the pegboard. So I've really found that those pegboards are so versatile. Same thing with some of the things back here. Like you wouldn't think that you could use these items outside because it's a gamer clutter kit. But look at this. I put the open book and the water bottle on this little side table next to the lounge chair. Because in real life, you might be like lounging out in the sun reading your book and you just set it down for a second to dip in the pool. So it was really fun for me to try and envision different ways to use these, like putting the game controllers and this thing as a TV stand. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. So after we had that call and I had seen all of the items, it was basically done, but we had a few little last minute things to wrap up. Things like picking out a name for the kit. We also had to make a styled room, and then we had to talk about some of the promotional images they were going to use. To me, the pack was always called either the Comfy Gamer Kit or the Cozy Gamer Kit. It was kind of like between those two all along. That was kind of the whole vibe that we were going for when we were making this. But I did send them a list of like 20 different ideas that I had come up with. Some of them were kind of bad, but I was just trying to make sure that we had options. I was like, hey, I don't know. I think that Comfy Gamer is good, but here's this, and this. I think it was the clear winner from the beginning though, so it's kind of just always been called that. And it's a good thing we called it that because there's two other cozy kits. There's a cozy bundle for My Sims. They had that like cozy celebrations event in game. Everything's cozy. So comfy is a better word. We also had to pick a color for the cover art and they suggested that pink color. I thought that was perfect. It matches the items. It kind of matches my vibe. This is one of the first kits to have that new art style. You can see the cover art here and how it's super different from all of the other kits, but I think they're just all gonna have this style moving forward. We got a little bit of a taste of that with those first CC kits. With the styled room, I actually designed it myself just with the base game. So I basically made a room that was exactly this shape and layout, but using a bunch of placeholder items, and I sent them screenshots and I was like, okay, I think this is how it should be. And then they actually built it with the new stuff and then made a couple different color variants of it. We also talked a lot about what to name the styled room. And I'm gonna be honest, I had never noticed that the styled rooms even had names. Some of them are a little bit bland, like Linoleum Dream, Foodie Fantasy, but a couple of the other more recent ones are a little bit more interesting. And so we really wanted to pick something cool, and we came up with Player's Paradise, which I feel like is a great alliteration. It makes sense for the vibes. I can show you a couple of the other color variants. There's like a pink one, there's a blue one, and there's also a green one. But the whole point of these style rooms is kind of just to show off all the different options and like how they fit together. So you can see a few of the different ways that you might use the items. It's sort of supposed to give inspiration to players. I personally don't really use style rooms that often, but it is a nice tool to have. And then they asked me if I could make a sim self for them to use in the screenshots. That was up to me. Like I didn't have to have my sim self in the screenshots, but they offered and I thought it was kind of cute. So this is the sim that you might see in those screenshots. This is the main image that they used her in. That's the sim self that I've always had. I'm not the best at making sims, okay? But I did make this one myself. I just had to make her base game so that they could use her for the pictures. On stream, everybody was commenting on the ring, which was kind of cute. I didn't really think about how it would be so prominently displayed in the picture, but I mean, the wedding is next month, so I guess it's fitting. But after that, we were basically done with the kit. We kind of wrapped all this up and finished it a couple months ago, and then it was just a waiting game until the pack actually came out. Funny story, I was meant to have like a final goodbye call with them to wrap things up in December. At that point, the kit had been done for a bit. It was more of like a celebratory thing for us. Well, that's the day that I ended up in the ER with kidney stones. Picture me laying in the hospital bed, like writhing in pain, and I'm handing Dan my phone, like, Dan, you have to send them an email. I'm not gonna make it to the meeting. So I tried to dictate an email for him to type out for me and send. I probably freaked them out with that, and I'm sorry if I did. I wasn't fully thinking straight, honestly, so I am sorry. And we never actually did get our final goodbye call. You can blame my kidneys for that. Very, very unfortunate timing. Like, of all the days for that to happen, I have this big final meeting with EA about the kit that I made, and nope, not anymore. But that's the whole kit. We've kind of covered the whole process now. I have been so nervous for you all to see this. I think I'm just an overthinker. So even though I know deep down that a lot of simmers are gonna enjoy this, I am just nervous. I personally really love it, and I guess that's the main thing that matters. We announced this back on Tuesday when the Behind the Sims episode aired, and I got to announce it in a really special way because they had me go in person to a studio to help them film that Behind the Sims episode. So this whole thing has just been really special for me. I just keep thinking back to when I was a kid, obsessively playing The Sims, and this one is for her. Child me would have just died hearing about this. It's such an unbelievable concept. Like, oh, hey, by the way, Kayla, when you grow up, you're gonna be a Sims YouTuber, and also The Sims is gonna make a pack with you. You are gonna make a pack. Like, I can't even wrap my head around that. It doesn't even feel real. This is like a dream come true moment for me. Probably the biggest pinch me moment that I've ever had since I started doing YouTube. The Sims has truly changed my life. Obviously now, because I do this for a living, but not even just in that way. Like, this game helped me survive high school. And that's not even an exaggeration. I don't know what I would have done without The Sims, without the Sims community back then. It was such an escape for me in like the worst time of my life. The community has gotten me through so much, and I just love The Sims. It is so cool for me to be a part of the game in this way, to be like acknowledged by the Sims team in this way. I am eternally grateful for the opportunity. I have cried many tears of joy throughout this process. I feel like I could cry right now just talking about it. And the kit is out now, so it's available for you to purchase and play with if you're interested. The Sims paid me an upfront fee for this kit, which means I was paid for my ideas and my time. But if you'd like a more direct way to support me, if you use my creator code lilsimsie on the EA app, I will earn a commission on the purchase. Usually I would make a 5% commission, but until January 30th, I'll make a 7% commission on it. I always feel a little bit awkward talking about the creator codes, but I've made many videos talking about other people's kits and like begging you to use their codes when you buy their kits, so I feel like I probably should say it for my own. And please do not feel like you have to buy this kit to support me. That is not what I'm asking you to do. Just buy the kit if you like it. If you like these items and you want to have these items, then buy the kit. But please don't just buy it because lilsimsie is involved. I want you to spend your money on things that are valuable to you. And if you're looking for more kit content, I'm gonna be posting so many videos building with these kits, playing with these kits over the next few days. And I'm also playing with it a ton over on my Twitch channel. My name is just lilsimsie over there. I stream every single day. I'll link that down below in case you want to come over and hang out with us live. Thank you all so much for supporting me over the years. It is thanks to you that I was offered this opportunity in the first place. Thank you to the Sims team for choosing me for this and making my dreams come true. There are some really great, amazing, talented folks working over there, and it's been such a blessing to get to do this with them. And with that, I'm gonna end this video right here. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow. Okay? Bye, everybody. I'm so glad that I was able to show you some concept art from the kit because I think that's the most fun part. I always love getting to see concept art from The Sims, and we don't really get to see it that often.